We're sounding good?
Oh, you sound great.
Derek Drescher, how are you, sir? What's up, man?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing?
Dude, I'm great. So for those of you who don't know, Derek Drescher, host of 23-in-1 comedy show at The Stand, partner in Conbody, a workout studio on the Lower East Side. Dude, and I still need to come through, man.
Yeah, dude, whenever you want.
I would love to.
I teach Tuesday nights, 5:30 and 6:30, Friday morning at 8, and then Saturday at 10:30 and 11:30.
Okay, so...
Most comics come to the 11:30 show.
Nice, man.
Class.
Yeah. So what kind of workout is that? I mean, obviously, it's just a prison-inspired workout.
Yeah,
how does that work?
Koss, designed the workouts. So he was in solitary for a little bit while he was incarcerated.
This is one of your partners?
This is the owner, like the guy, the founder.
The guy who was on Ellen.
The guy who was on Ellen, yeah.
Okay.
He was in solitary, or the box, as they call it.
Yeah, the box.
And, you can't use weights when you're in the box. You can only, he started working out really hard. He came out of the box. He kept going. And he lost like 60 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, or 70. And then because he was very overweight and out of shape, and a lot of the other guys saw him, and they gravitated to him, and he helped like 20 guys lose 1,000 pounds combined.
Oh my! So how long was he in the box, in general when he first went there?
I don't know how long he was in the box. I know he did about 7 years.
Okay,
not all in the
total,
box
in prison.
Yeah, not all in the box.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crazy. So I mean, you always kind of. I don't want to say you always hear or see that, but people when they say, "Oh, if I went to jail for 3 months, I'd come out jacked."
Yeah, it's not
true. Yeah, or if I'm there for X amount of years, I'm going to be working out the entire time. And obviously that's your mindset going in, but I can imagine just how
so
dark and depressed it gets. So
yeah.
if you can just talk a little bit about, how you initially, got to prison or got to jail, and then what it was like being in there.
In my younger, so I was
start from the beginning, bro.
I was an out of control kid. I always knew when I was younger that I had a problem expressing myself like everybody else. I thought about things that probably most kids don't think about when they're young. I was 8, 9 years old. I was like, how am I going to drive? I was like, I don't like going over bridges is scary.
Yeah, dude, and the water on both sides,
yeah,
for sure.
How am I going to have a place to live?
So wait, where did you grow up?
We'll start there. Brooklyn, and then my childhood, I was, what's the word, very transient. Because I was around. I was in juvenile detention, group homes, things like that. So, yeah.
So, okay, so you were at a younger age, you were thinking in the mindset of a 17-year-old. It sounds
I guess, and and I was very close to my grandma. My mom and dad both worked very hard. They had multiple jobs, and so I would get left with my grandmother during my childhood while my mom worked in a factory. She worked as a waitress. My father did concrete work, and then he would do anything else he could. They were just saving for the future. You know what I mean? And my grandmother passed away, and I went batshit crazy.
What age was that around?
I was around 12,
okay.
12, 13.
And were you hanging out with the older kids on the block doing
I hung out with a lot of
things?
older people, yeah.
Okay.
I hung out with a lot of older people.
That, I think, for the most part, obviously, I think one of the things that when I look back in my younger age, it was a lot of smoking pot. So I think that's what the older generation kind of pushed on me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what happens when you're hanging out with older kids, right?
Yeah, I started drinking. I was drinking a lot. And then I just started acting out, stopped going to school and started stealing. And
damn. So when did you first go to juvenile detention?
13.
13. And how was that experience? For how long?
Rough. From 13 to 18, I spent 3 of those years in juvie.
Dude, this is so funny, man, because you seem like just such a nice, calm, cool guy, which obviously you are, but what, you have a dark side, it sounds like?
Yeah. I've worked on myself a lot. I'll get into that with you later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I spent a lot of time in juvenile, and then drugs got involved, and I even went after I left juvie, I was able to join the military, and I got kicked out after 11 months, and charged.
What'd you get in a fight with someone?
Yeah, I got in a lot of fights, but I was also stealing metal.
For what?
To turn into chop shops.
So they would use it as parts?
Yeah, yeah, if you get precious metals, whether it's copper, aluminum, stuff like that, stuff's worth money.
The only time I really learned about that was on The Wire. Did you ever see that show, The Wire?
When they're ripping the brass, the copper
what was
pipes.
his name again? That home
Bubbles.
Bubba, Bubbles was like stealing wire and copper and stuff like that. So that's what you were doing in selling it to restaurants?
No, I sell it to, you go right to like a metal shop. Like you could bring them you could bring them full cars.
And do they melt it down? Or?
I don't know what they do. You give them the money. You give them the stuff, and they give you the money.
So they buy it from you at an extremely low cost, and then they'd go out and sell it to whoever, developers and people making buildings and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah. So they would probably, they separate. They probably have aluminum in this bin, and these are like 2-ton, 3-ton bins, aluminum, copper here. Yeah. I mean, you could bring those guys in. You can bring them a refrigerator.
So where did this mindset come from? Especially after being in the military for like 11 months. And you were what at this time, like 19 years old?
Yeah, I was 19 exactly. Okay. I was military really didn't, it's not that much different than regular society, the military.
Really?
No. You're supposed to be like the cream of the crop.
That's what that's how I would think of it.
It's untrue. There's units in the military that are the cream of the crop.
Okay,
but I wasn't in
Marines
one of those
or whatever.
units.
Were you a reserve?
No, I was full time. So like the Marines are definitely. I've known some crazy Marines though too. I shouldn't say crazy, just a little off. Yeah. But like in the Army, you have like your Rangers, your Special Forces, your Green Berets. Like those are the real. And you're like 81st. 82nd Airborne, excuse me. I can't believe I said that. 101st Screaming Eagles. That's like the real shit.
So 19, got kicked out of the military.
Yeah. Come back.
To Brooklyn.
Come back to, I went upstate.
Where upstate?
Orange County, Blooming Grove area.
Okay. No, I don't.
You know the Woodbury Commons?
Yeah.
Yeah, around there.
That's not so upstate, is it?
Yeah, not too far.
Okay.
I mean, it's
hour
upstate
and a half
of the
out?
city.
Okay.
Yeah, about an hour.
All right. And what was there? What, you just went back there? You have family there?
I knew people, yeah. Yep, I had some family there, and I just was getting in trouble regularly, and getting locked up. And
was it just for petty stuff?
Yeah, all petty. I'd get in trouble. I'd do like I'd get sentenced to a year and then get out, and I wouldn't be able to complete, my probation, parole.
How long was probation like after
3 years, 5 years
after doing a year sentence? It was that long.
Yeah,
but that's got to be tough. Don't they drug test you and stuff? Well, I don't know if it's like smoking weed or stuff like that.
Yeah, I was never a big weed guy. I was cocaine.
But you had to stop doing drugs fully for 5 years.
I didn't.
But that's what they wanted you to do.
Yeah, they don't even want you drinking.
Can they test for you drinking?
Alcohol can come up, I guess, in a urine test. I'm not sure about a swab.
But did they test you for alcohol?
They test you for everything. Like at first I used to have to pee, and then they started doing the swab, which you just let this thing, you're supposed to put it under your tongue and wait till it turns blue. Like the outside of it would turn blue, but I never put it under my tongue. I used to piss my pee off so much. She gets so mad. I'd be like, it's there, it's under my tongue. I'd be sitting there for like 45 minutes.
Did you have the same probation officer like throughout the times that it was like a different person each time?
They moved me around a lot.
But that's just a system that it sounds like to me that it's just like they want you to fail.
Yeah.
Or it's designed to make you fail.
Absolutely.
1 year in jail. First of all, you come out. The first thing you want to do is take a hit of a joint or have a beer. But I understand. Maybe the first week you don't do it.
Yeah.
But then they have you on probation for an extremely long period of time. And the only time I really learned about probation and parole officers, like when it's been forced in front of me, is like paying attention to a guy like Meek Mill.
Right.
When he was on probation for 11 years, stuff like that, and he just kept getting put back in the prison. So, I mean, it just sounds like, it's really hard to get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, there was times I ended up doing like 6 years altogether, and then basically what ends up happening, I remember one time I got out and I reported. You report that day. And she's like, where are you living? And I wrote it down on a piece of paper. I was like, here. And she just ripped it up. And she goes, no, you're living here. And she made me go to a shelter. Let me tell you something. Some of these shelters, you might as well be in Rikers, man. You might as well be in Rikers. They're bad. Some of the shelters, really bad.
Like stealing and crime.
Stealing, fighting, drugs, assaults, everything you can think of.
So from that point, how did you live your 20s? What did your 20s look like?
20s, I met a woman when I was 25. I straightened out for a little bit. But we all know is that like a relationship won't keep you straight. You got to want to do it for yourself.
Right.
End up having a child. And then I just made a complete mess of my life. By the time I turned 30 years old, that's when I started doing heroin. I started shooting heroin at 30. And I didn't get clean until I was 33. So that's all just a mess.
I mean, first starting
Sorry to ruin the mood.
Bro, no, dude, this is very interesting, man. A lot of people want to hear this. And obviously, you know, anybody who has, you know, issues like that, you know, they obviously love to hear when other people have, you know, similar issues. So starting to do heroin and, you know, I guess as you were saying, not have your life straightened out. What was like what got you into comedy and what got you into having your head on straight, man? Because I mean, I see you at the stand, not every night, but a lot of nights shooting the shit with everyone, and you have your own show at the stand, so things are straightened out. So how did you get here?
I got into, I was in so many programs. Like when I was trying to get clean at 33, right? And then I got like 6 months and I relapsed again, and it was a horrible relapse.
What does that mean, you got 6 months?
I got
sober?
6 months
Like
clean, yeah.
Okay.
Sober. I relapsed again. It was a horrible relapse, and I still had like some legal cases open, and I was still on papers. I still had to see a PO, and then this one counselor I had at this place called CFR, Center for Recovery. She was like, Derek, I'm going to be honest with you, you're going to die. Like, if you get locked up, you're lucky. She's like, the way you're going, the rate you're going right now, you're not going to make it soon. It's too much longer, you know, and. She got me into this program on 43rd and 8th. It was for anybody who served in the military that had an issue with substance abuse or was, what's the word I'm looking for? When you keep doing chronically incarcerated, chronically homeless, and I was on the streets for a little bit too. She gets me into that place, and this place is called a TC, which means it's a therapeutic community. And you would think from therapeutic, you think it's like very loving, but it's like the other way around in the beginning. Like they tell you about yourself, and it's like it's your last chance, last stop. Like if you don't like it, go ahead, leave, go, you know. And the cops will be here to pick you up to take you back to jail.
So, I mean, what did that kind of look like in your head, waking up every day? If you put your hand a little bit up on the mic, so it's cutting out a little bit. Go ahead.
Oh, it is my bad. I remember getting there and being like, oh, I'm so happy to be here. And they were like, shut up. When I was using like that, I would always try to leave myself some for the next morning, and that didn't usually work out. Maybe I'd get like a bag. I remember that first yawn you get of like when you're starting to go into withdrawal, because you need to get high every day. You know, sometimes.
And withdrawal is just like right away when you wake up.
Yeah, like,
or like
yeah, you wait, and it would hit me usually in the morning, bad around 8, 9 o'clock, and I would yawn, and my eyes would start to tear, and I'd be like, oh shit, here it comes, and then you just need to do whatever you need to do because the sickness only gets worse. Like then you start getting the stomach cramps, and you're sweating, and you know you get diarrhea, and you're dry heaving, and you know you're not gonna die, but you feel like you want to. So yeah, and then you just got to do whatever you got to do to not even get high sometimes, just to get straight. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you don't have enough to get high. You could just be not sick. There's a physical addiction that comes with it. And then once you get clean and you get past the sickness part, because you can't get past the sickness part unless you do methadone or Suboxone.
Do they give that to you at the shelter, by the way?
If you have a prescription.
Okay.
But I still could not stay clean on methadone or Suboxone. I had too many character defects where like I would sell my Suboxone and just take it on the day that I needed to give a urine. Methadone was the same thing. I just failed horribly on both of them. And so the last time I got clean, they're like, we're not giving you either one of them. You're going to have to, So I remember I went to detox, and they gave me methadone, small dosage for 3 days. And then I had to kick the rest on my own. So you get through the physical withdrawal, and then you have the mental afterwards. So I didn't sleep for months. Like my first 6, 7 months clean, I didn't get a decent night of sleep at all. I felt horrible, And then, I was in that program, they make you group. They make you group multiple times a day, 5, 6 times a day. You're in groups. You're in groups about, you know, your character defects, you know, stuff, you know, trauma. There was a cognitive behavioral therapy, and then there was confrontation group, where if you had an issue with one of your peers, they would call you to the center of the room and, you know, and tell you about yourself. And you had to, like, they used to call it holding your belly. You had to not speak during that. You could not react. I did that for 18 months. And it definitely made me, I came out of that so strong.
Was there a moment when you just felt so weak and so vulnerable and just felt like you were not going to make it? Was there like one day in particular that stood out to you?
I didn't, you know, I knew at that point, because I had overdosed, like, I had a bad overdose like 6 months before I made it into that program. And then I got that clean time, then I relapsed. It was around December. It was like the week of like Christmas. And I overdosed. They had to bring me back to life. If it wasn't for my brother being there, I would have died. My dad was dead when I got to the ER, though. They had to give me 2 shots of Narcan. I remember the nurse coming in being like, "You're the only person that we were able to save this week. Everybody else had overdoses."
Was it like the same batch or something?
Yeah, there was fentanyl going around even back then. And I knew that day, I was like, there was almost like something, like a stoicism. Is that even a word? That I was like, I am either going to change or I'm going to die with a needle on my arm.
How old were you at that point?
33. I was 33. And like I said, I made it into the program, and I remember a few months went by. I was walking down 8th Avenue one day, and I just took a look around, and I was like, just looking at what everybody was wearing, and like, you know, what was on the billboards and
the MSG or whatever.
yeah, all that shit, and I was like, the world has just passed me by. You know, I've let the world pass me by. I don't know about this place. You know, I don't. You know what I mean? I was wearing like an outfit from like the 90s, early 2000s, and like a Sean John velour suit on. And I was just like, yo, man, you gotta figure something out. You know, I was like, it's one thing being clean. You gotta get with this world, because it's not gonna wait for you.
Yeah, man, that's fun. That's funny you say that. So, I don't know if you know, but I worked at my dad's company for 6.5 years before I started doing comedy, vlog, podcast stuff full time.
Yeah,
and I felt that way. There was like definitely, I mean, multiple days where I woke up and I was just like, yo, what is going by? I'd just be looking at a blank computer screen, waiting for somebody to tell me to do something, just for like hours, you know, at a time at the day job. And the company was like a real estate company, so I was a property manager. And the thing was, my mindset was always like, all right, well, there's going to come to a point where my dad's going to be like, all right, here is the company, son. You know, like the Lion King, like this is all yours, you know, take it. And the idea of that, you know, is great, especially, you know, having a real estate company in New York. Obviously, that's a great thing to have. But it just got to a point where it was so repetitive, and I knew that my trajectory, like I was going to be doing the same kind of thing, being, you know, for the most part, leveled for 10 years or however many years, until my dad just decided, here it is.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, like you were saying, just seeing the world kind of pass you by. One day you wake up and you're like, so much shit has happened. Like, I want to change my life in this direction, or start doing this. And that happened to me for a little bit when I had like a pretty big ketamine phase. I got so scared. And one day I woke up with like, I couldn't breathe out of my nose just because it was so stuffy. I was like, all right, I need to fix this. I need to stop doing this. Because there would just be times when like, I'd be in a social situation, and the thing about ketamine is like, you have so many freaking thoughts in your head that you think everything around you is just like hearing your thoughts. So you don't really focus on communicating with people around you.
Music with no words,
yeah,
has
dude,
words,
and you feel like you're the chosen one too. You're like, nobody has any idea what's going on in this world. I do.
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes all it takes is a nice day, or you wake up, or you see something on a screen, and you're like, yo, whoa, the world has changed so much in X amount of years. Time to get up and do something.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't understand. I mean, I know social media is such a small part of the world, but I was like, like people are staying connected through this thing. I didn't know how to send an email. I didn't know like any of that shit. Like the world, like back in the day for a construction job, you go to the site and you meet the foreman, you shake his hand, and if he likes you, he hires you. You know,
Yeah.
and it was like all these first interview, second interview, and I remember I was trying to get jobs and no one would hire me, and I was like taking these classes to learn how to speak better because I sounded like a fucking barbarian, and they were like, you're going to work sanitation. I was like, that's actually a pretty good job. I wouldn't mind working sanitation. But I ended up getting it. I got my peer mentor certification, and then I got my recovery coach certification. And I started to work in a shelter. I got a job in a shelter. I was working for Black Vets for Social Justice out of Brooklyn on Marcus Garvey Boulevard. They like gave me my first shot at a job, and I was making like $14-15 an hour. And I was working with people that had been through, or either going through the same situation I went, or a lot of people that worked there were like me too.
So you didn't blow it though.
No, I stayed clean. I got an apartment, and then I ended up getting a job at the Marriott in Jersey. I was
Jersey City?
No, in Teaneck.
Oh, okay.
Teaneck. So I'd wake
Big
up.
Jewish town, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm Jewish too, by the way. You're Jewish, right?
Yep.
Shabbat shalom, baby.
Yeah, Jewish and Puerto Rican.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Teaneck is like, I think there's some Dominicans now there too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You got like the Jewish section, Black, Dominican. It's a pretty diverse town. And then, but working in Jersey was rough because I'd wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, East New York, be on the platform by 4:30, take the train like an hour and 10 minutes up to George Washington bus terminal, get on a bus over to Teaneck. So it was like, I was really grinding and I really wanted it, you know what I mean? And then I felt like it was like eventually time for me to put like my certifications to work, and I started working for a nonprofit as like their alumni services coordinator, which means that like I work with folks who have maybe issues with substance abuse or being chronically homeless, and who have also been incarcerated, and I get to give back a little something.
So when you were in prison, the idea of 23-and-1, that's not always the case, right?
Well, 23-and-1, when you
It's
first...
like you're in the hole?
When you first... No. I mean, yeah, that's what it is in the hole. Or the box. The box is what we call in New York.
Uh-huh.
I think they call it the hole in Oz.
That's probably why I saw it on TV shows. Like, oh, he's sending them to the hole.
Taking it to the hole. You're going to the hole. Going to the hole, Drescher.
Yeah.
Yeah, the box. But when you first get in and you're brought in, and they're
and also
out.
talk about that feeling too. First going in for like, what was your longest bid, by the way?
Longest bid was 18 months, 19.
Okay,
19
so
months.
the first day of that 19-month bid, just
Sucked,
kind of
man.
describe that.
Yeah, it sucked. You're in Rikers or like Rikers or any jail. You want to get out of there. It sucks. Jail sucks because there's no movement.
What do you mean there's no movement?
Like you just don't get to really do anything unless you're sentenced. Then you like could become a trustee. But like, the further you get upstate, the more it sounds fucked up. It sounds funny, but there's like the more freedom you have. Like people can send you stuff and all that shit, and sometimes you can have a certain amount of food, certain amount of pounds of food sent to you every month. But yeah, the first days are always the worst. I was so prepared for it though from juvenile, from when I was a kid. Those were the rough ones. Gladiator school, man. You're fighting every day. Every day.
So the concept of 23-and-1, though.
Oh, concept of 23-and-1 is when you first get into the joint, and they're waiting to see, what kind of unit they're going to place you in. You're on a 23-hour lockdown, and then you get 1 hour to use the phone and shower.
Are you by yourself during that 23-and-1 when they're deciding where to put you?
Yeah.
So how long is that process before they decide where they want to put you?
Depends on how fast they get the paperwork done.
How long did it take you to
be-
get you like to your cell?
All different times. This has happened to me so many times. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it would take a day, 2 days. Sometimes it would take a week. Sometimes 10 days.
So how did they decide though, like where they were going to put you?
Oh, they just go over your
Personality,
paperwork and they
race?
look at whatever your psychosocial was when you come in, all that stuff.
So what was the most dramatic event you think in prison
The most dramatic event
for you?
I've seen. me see.
Like some shank fights or something?
Yeah, I've seen people get stabbed. I've had to stab people before.
You've had to?
Yeah.
Just because, like, disrespect?
It stole something from me.
What do you steal?
A bag of chips.
Oh, damn. And that commissary, that's, like, serious stuff in there.
Yeah.
Wait, like Lay's, like, sour cream and onion? Or
Cheetos.
Oh, yeah. I'd stab him, too.
But he did it right in front of everybody, so I had to.
Oh, you had to
I
freaking show
had
him
no
that.
choice.
Yeah. So you slug him first, and
Nah, I just stabbed him in the ass.
and how
Not
much
in
trouble
in his cheek.
did you get? You get sent to the box after that?
No.
For stabbing someone?
Nobody saw.
Oh, and nobody around them spoke about it.
No.
So snitching is like still a really fucked up thing to do in jail.
Yeah, I mean, you won't be able to live in the unit in the tier if you're a snitch.
So how do
even if people get word that you might possibly be a snitch, they'll be like, I'm gonna need to see.
So how do guards deal with issues between inmates in prison?
I mean, they try not to. I mean, dude, it's a shitty job.
Yeah.
What a shitty job.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
What's the draw for people to have that job?
Retirement.
Pension?
Retirement, pension, benefits.
Healthcare.
You don't need to be educated, I think. I don't think you need to go to college to get that job. You might need to now. Things are changing.
I remember, Rick Ross was like a security guard.
So weird, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people become COs to be connected with their people from the streets. I knew a couple.
How much dirty shit did you see then?
A lot.
Wow.
Yeah. I
mean, but what, like
people
cell
like bringing
phones?
stuff in their ass, yeah, but the guards bring most of the stuff in. This is what it is. And they're so overworked with the overtime, and it's like, what really separates them from us? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the mindset, too. If you're in there for 16 hours a day, you
think
go
about
home
it,
just
like
to sleep.
Being in a pressure cooker, man. I mean, there's criminals around you. Some of us, the thing about, like, everybody gets incarcerated, too, not all bad people. People just get caught up in certain situations.
Yeah, you're greedy, potentially. I mean, if somebody gets greedy and, like, finance or stuff like that, stealing.
See, I was never in a max. I was always in, like, minimums and security stuff
Do you ever get sent up to that prison where Michael Cohen and The Situation were at? What's it? The Oni something with an O.
Otisville?
Yeah. Otisville. That apparently is like a country club, right?
There's two sides of Otisville, I believe. Okay. I believe there's a feds, and I believe there's also a max there. It might be cadre. I'm not sure.
Well, I had heard that one's like a cakewalk. Apparently.
Part of it is.
Okay.
Part of it is. Part of it is not. There's even, I think downstate is like that too. Downstate is intake for the whole New York, and then the other half is like cadre. Like, but yeah, I know some people that did some serious time in Otisville. I also been to Otisville twice for Scared Straight. They brought us up there.
When you were younger? You were on that reality show?
No.
So what's Scared Straight, a program?
Scared Straight's a program, but yeah, it's just like that show. It didn't work for me though. I did it twice. I was like, I can handle this shit.
And you could.
I mean, yeah, the last time I was incarcerated,
Were you that guy in jail though? Like everyone knew you. You were tight with everyone.
I used to make people laugh. That was my thing.
Is that where it started?
I was like, yeah, I would like hold court, and I would make him like do impressions of the COs and
and
shit
dude.
like that. Yeah,
That just sounds like such a good reality show, man. Following you around, assuming that other people around you wouldn't get jealous. In like a reality TV setting, that seems like such a good reality show.
Yeah.
Following you around. I mean, the activities that you're doing are limited.
Yeah.
But just, I think, seeing the life and day-to-day process of an inmate, somebody who really is comfortable in jail, I don't think we've really seen that. You see all these shows, you see 48 hours in, you see 60 days in, not 48 hours in, you see 60 days in where people, you ever see this show?
See, yeah, I've watched that on Netflix.
Yeah, but it just looks terriifying. You just
that's how it is.
For that. Yeah.
That's how it is. The guys fighting off on the side. Yeah, that's.
Can you prepare for jail in any way? Like if you were to tell me right now, I'm about to do a year bid, what would you do to prepare me?
I mean, you'd get used to it just like anything else. Only thing for you I'd be afraid of is people trying to extort you to get like them to have somebody on the outside put money on their books and shit like that. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you seem like you're in good physical shape. Like you'd be able to protect yourself.
Yeah. I'd fuck somebody up.
Yeah. Yeah, you might have to fight. You might not.
Right.
You know, it depends on who you get around.
Yeah,
around.
and also, I mean,
even in minimums and mediums, dudes are going to try to test you.
So
sometimes.
were you kind of not trying to make as many friends in there, or you didn't really care? You weren't really like, what were they telling you? What were the CEOs telling you, or people before you got into prison? I mean, I guess you did a ton
Only
of
one
bids
person ever said anything to me
in terms of safety.
when I was going to juvie. I remember they brought me from court to juvie, and then this lady was standing out in front of the facility, and she was like, "Uncuff him," and the cops uncuffed me, and she was like, "All right, come with me," and we were walking down this long hallway, and she was like, she just looks over at me, and I'm like 13 years old. She goes, "Do you know how to take care of yourself?" And I was like, "I don't understand what you mean." She's like, "Oh, the boys here know how to take very good care of themselves. You'll find out what I mean." And she meant like, you know, like physically, can you handle yourself?
Well, what
Are
if you
you gonna
said
be able
no?
to live here?
I feel like that's a rhetorical question. How are you supposed to answer that question?
I had no idea what she meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, no idea.
All right, man. So let's
I
talk
found
about
out.
that. Yeah, you did. Let's talk about the transfer to comedy, though, bro.
Right.
Because that's how we initially met. Hilarious. You have a podcast out the gate.
On the gate.
On the gate, excuse me, with Gio Perez.
Gio Perez.
So you and Gio met how?
Me and Gio met through comedy. I was running an illegal show.
There's like gambling downstairs. You mean like during COVID? Illegal
Yeah,
show?
yeah.
Okay.
Invite only.
Sure.
And we, so it would only be the comics on the lineup and then the people I invited. Because I have like a little bit of a network. And somehow Gio got in one day. I think Jared brought him, Jared Schwartz.
Jared Schwartz.
Yeah, and we hit it off immediately.
You and Gio?
Yeah. And once he was like, "Yo, I've been locked up too." And then we started talking, and he did a few years over in Long Island, and we just clicked.
And when was this?
This was
About a year and a half ago?
a little over a year ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I thought you guys would have known each other for a very long time.
That's
So-
what everybody thinks.
Nice.
But we've been rolling hard for the last year. And then when we get one of us gets booked, they always book us together. Which it's a pain.
I saw you guys. Were you guys doing a roast battle?
We did a roast. We were
Wait,
booked.
why
on
is it a
4
pain in the ass?
shows
That's
together.
hilarious, dude.
Because our material is not the same, but we talk about a lot of the same shit.
Yeah, because how often are two guys who did a lot of time together on the same show?
Yeah, we got like 10 years incarcerated between the two of us. You know what I mean? And but yeah, we roasted each other this week in New York Comedy Club. That was so much fun.
How was that? Wait, when was that? That was recently.
That was on
Thursday or something, right?
Yeah. Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a good time. Nico White told us that he hasn't heard that place that loud since they used to have black roasts there, which is
Great
like
to hear.
one hell of a compliment.
Yeah, for sure. Because black guys are great at roasting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. So, yeah, we did that show, and then we were booked on 2 shows together yesterday, and I think we were on another one together, too.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Nice. So when did you guys start 23-1 comedy at
This is going to be
stand?
our 7th one.
Okay.
So this is our 7th show. We've sold out the first 6. I hope
Wow.
we sell out this one.
That's great.
We're moving ticks pretty good.
That's
right
great,
now.
man. Yeah, it's super fun to do that. Do you guys ever get stressed out about it? How do you kind of run the show?
I get very stressed out.
Do
about
you
it.
like what? You book 3 comics, he books 3, or how does it work?
We never really put a number on it. We try to find we try to get like a comic that has like been doing it for years and then build a show around them. That's what we try to do. It's like, we had Big J on this one. On this one, and then we had last month was actually crazy. We had Soder, Ari, Maddie Smith, Ian Lara.
Yeah.
That was a good show.
And then as we're releasing this, it is
Next Tuesday.
Yes, it is.
When's this come out?
Well, this is today. It is March 14th, and tomorrow is March 15th. The Ted Jones Comedy Show, Tuesday, March 15th, 7 p.m. at the Stand. No, but your show is the
15th.
15th also?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you have a 10 p.m. show.
Yep.
Okay, dope.
Also, our
So
shows
there
are the
you,
same day.
there you freaking go. Tomorrow night, you guys better come to the Stand. It's going to be amazing. You'll see Derek and myself just stay there the entire night, all right?
Stay for
Amazing.
both.
Drinks and food. But yeah, what were you saying? So you just kind of put it together however you guys feel, whatever?
Yeah. So Gio had a show, I had a show, and then we basically combined forces. And it's been great. The thing about the Stand is that the guy that's on their the Silhouette, Mike
Mike
DiStefano.
DiStefano, yes.
So like he
was a big heroin guy too.
Yeah, he was on drugs. He's been incarcerated. He was a criminal.
10 years, yeah.
He was like he's like an inspiration to me, and I always loved the stand even before I started comedy. I used to go there, and then
the one on 19th Street. You had that one? Is that what you're referring to? Okay.
And the way I got into comedy was about 4 years ago. I like once I started working for Conbody, like Koss gave me a job. He saw me speak at this event.
Koss, the owner.
Koss, the owner. He saw me. He's like, "Hey, I want you to be part of the team. Let me bring you in." We just started this thing. We only hire formerly incarcerated individuals. Come on in. I became a trainer there. I got certified in as a fitness instructor, and I started to meet different kinds of people that I'd never interacted with before in my life. People from like a different world, and I was like, "Oh, this is like." Not everybody's like robbing people and selling drugs. And you know what I mean? I was like, there's like, and I was like, oh, and these people aren't all nerds. Like these people are like cool. Like, so I used to think like, oh, if you're like that, you're like a square. You know what I mean? And I had like made some friends, and then I got invited to a picnic one day. And Ashley Hesseltine was there.
Wow.
Yeah, I had no idea who she was. She was just super cool, and we were chatting it up.
She's great, yeah.
Talking about her life, my life, and everybody that was there. We're just having a good conversation. And I hung out with her again. I went to go watch a football game. She was there, and she's like, "Hey, would you want to do my podcast?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I had no idea what a podcast was.
That's hilarious. When was this?
It was about 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
About 4 years ago.
Okay.
And I'd always been a big fan of comedy, loved comedy. Even when I was younger, before things got bad in my life, like, I just remember watching, like, the specials on, like, HBO. Like, John Leguizamo had a couple one-man shows, and my father was a fan of Pryor and Eddie Murphy, and then, Def Comedy Jam and Living Color. Like, I loved all of that stuff. And then I went on her podcast, and I was talking about my life and, like, this transformation I had made, you know what I mean? And I was like, damn, she was a comic. I went to a few of her shows. I'm like, I want to try this. I started writing.
So wait, how did you meet her? Like, who gave you the introduction to her?
My friend Alexis was friends with Ashley.
And Alexis is a comic?
No. There's two people who met in the dog park.
You getting into comedy, a little bit of kiss of fate.
Almost, yeah.
Almost, because you were super interested, and then you kind of got the podcast, and then saw the whole vision.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, man.
Yeah. And
So,
I had a good time doing that podcast.
I want to talk a little bit more about Conbody.
Right.
So that's what you are doing for the most part during the day when you're not doing comedy at night.
No, so Conbody, I don't teach there as much as I used to. I teach 3 days a week. I teach Tuesday night, Friday morning, and Saturday morning because I have another job as a drug counselor. But Conbody, the thing I love the most about Conbody is I didn't have to like pretend to not be who I was. Like getting hired by black vets and then getting hired by Conbody was like too big. Like I needed that in my life. Like I need somebody who wanted to give me a chance. You know what I mean? And Koss pursued me after he saw me speak at that event, and then. When I was at Black Vets, I remember they told me, like, looking forward to working with you. And I guess that's like a normal thing that's said, but that meant so much to me when I heard that. And then I was able to grow so much as a human working at Conbody because it just put me in contact with so many different kinds of people from, like, outside of this world I was living in for so long, which was, I was surrounding myself with people who were mostly institutionalized, and not all of them were trying to change. You know what I mean? And then I just, started meeting people like, you meet like doctors and finance people and people who do this and, just a different world. And nobody cared that I had been incarcerated before or that I was a recovering heroin addict.
Yeah, it just makes for a good story.
Yeah.
So when do you think your life started to blossom in terms of moving towards comedy and doing shit that you actually want to do in Conbody and stuff that you're doing these days?
About 4 years ago. Comedy, I did comedy all wrong, like my first year and a half.
How do you mean?
I was doing like one mic a week and one bringer a month. I wasn't really into the mic scene. I wasn't really networking well. I knew a few people, but and then, the pandemic happened, and I did some Zoom stuff, and then once the outdoor mics started happening, I was like, I'm already like been doing this thing for 2 years, but like now I'm realizing like I can get up 30, 40 times a week if I wanted to.
Damn.
And that's the outlook I took, and then I just started getting with some other like-minded comics. Like Gio has a similar past to me. I hang out with Leo a lot. Leo is very, was a similar past. Used to be in a gang. He's not Leo Kofaresi.
Okay.
Leo C. And then Adam Hamada is another guy I hang out with a lot. Like there's people that are just like we're doing mics. If we're not booked, we're trying to get guest spots on shows. Like we're out there.
How much time do you feel like you'd be comfortable with doing on stage?
I just did 20 on the road.
Dope. Where were you?
Plano, Texas, at the House of Comedy.
Wow, nice.
I opened up for the great Sergio Chacon.
Oh, dude, that's great.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
So you went down there and you were just there for the weekend?
No, one night. We did a one-nighter,
Oh,
in and out.
What was he in Texas and other places? Or was just fly down there? And
No, we went down to do like...
Plano, wow. That's fun.
Plano, yeah, House of Comedy in a strip mall. They were very nice, though. Shout out House of Comedy.
Let's
Plano.
go.
Yeah. It was a benefit show. He was doing like... so it was like him. It was so Mara hosted, and then a couple other guesties. I did 20, and then they brought Sergio up to close.
So were you featuring then? Not
Yeah,
like
I
opening?
featured.
All right,
Yeah,
man.
featured, excuse me.
Okay.
Opening.
So opening is like 10 to 15 minutes. Like Hannah Burner, when I was in Miami,
Yeah.
I hosted and opened the show. I did like around 10 minutes. That's usually like the opener. I feel like stuff like that.
Yeah, featured for Serge.
Nice, dude. All right, 20 minutes is a good amount of time.
Yeah, it was 18 actually.
Okay,
It was supposed to be 25, and then they cut me 7 because I had to give somebody else a spot.
So is the trajectory for you just trying to get close to an hour and then see what you can do with that, or what is the next year?
I want to have a
for you?
rockin' 15. That's what I want to have right now. I want to get a rockin' 15. Start getting in these clubs in the next few years. I'm 40 years old. I'm not a young buck anymore. I'm young in comedy, old in life. But I want to start making a dent by the time I'm 45. Like I'll give myself some time. Comedy is not easy. It's very hard. Did 2 shows last night. Bombed the first one. Did great on the second one.
Where'd you do those shows? Because I see you're getting a lot more spots since the last time, or since I started following you, which is in the last few months.
Yeah, Crown Heights was the first one. My buddies put a show on. They packed it out.
Love that.
Just did not do my job. And then the second show was at Revision Lounge, another very good show, which was very much more my crowd. They were down to hear everything, so I was like, "Oh, this is
Love that.
This is good. Yeah, I can talk about everything here." The first show was just tight. They were tight. Gio went up before me. He had them. He got them really good at the end, and then I was like, "Well, let me try to ride this wave," and I couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm not going to be delusional with myself and be like, "Oh, fuck the crowd." Like, I think if I start picking up habits like that now, it'll be bad. I just want to put the onus on me.
Yeah, dude. I feel like for the most part, you kind of got to black out the crowd, right? Just do what you're comfortable doing. And yes, you have to listen to the crowd, in general. But do your A stuff, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, go back to the drawing board.
Yeah. I know. I was muttering to myself on the way home last night, and somebody I saw knew me. They're like, "You all right?" They're like, "Where are you coming from?" I was like, "Oh, I just did a couple shows." They're like, "Oh, how'd it go?" And I was like, "Oh, first one horrible, second one good." And I was like, and they're like, "Well, why did it go horrible?" And I was like, "I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now."
Yeah, I did a spot last night. Great lineup, but they were like, I don't know, dude, probably 12 people at V Spot last night, and the crowd was great. But it's just like I try not to let that go to my head in terms of I freaking killed, But then if I were to bomb in a place like that, I feel like it's just keeping your mindset the same. Do you find yourself getting more nervous before other people's shows rather than 23 and 1?
No. Like if I get nervous, it has nothing to do with the show. It just happens.
When do you find yourself getting nervous more so though?
I might have like nervous energy before, but I can't wait to get on stage.
Yeah.
I can't fucking wait. Like once we got that main room show at the Stand, dude, I was fucking salivating.
Yeah.
I was ready to fucking do my goddamn thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I had a good time.
How do you guys run the show? You and Gio do some time up top?
We do a little banter up top, let people know what they're in for. Because we're getting like newer people to come to the show now. And, we always like to remind everybody that it's a show that's curated by 2 ex-cons.
Yeah.
And some people are always like,
They couldn't tell by the 23-and-1 title.
Like, oh, I thought it was 23andMe.
I thought it was Michael Jordan.
Yeah, you know.
23andMe. Yeah, it's a DNA show.
I like to see those reactions. I'm like, relax. You know what I mean? Like, comedy changed our lives. Because there was a time, like right before I really started comedy, where I was like, maybe I should get back into crime.
Well, I mean, how much money were you? Oh, okay. It's like, how much money were you making on the streets, dude?
But yeah, I love comedy. I love I love doing, like, hanging with my friends and doing it too. Like, it's just I've met so many good people, and I just love, you know, challenging myself. And I got to continue to be involved in something that keeps my mind open, because I wouldn't get to where I am today, just in life general. Even if you take comedy out of the mix, 2 jobs in my own apartment, you know, being responsible, not doing drugs, if I didn't have an open mind. If I was ever like, oh, I figured recovery out, I figured how to not do heroin, I'm heading down the wrong path. Because you never figure it all out. It changes constantly.
So talking about going on stage, how is that feeling kind of similar to the euphoric feeling of drugs? Because I can talk about it a little bit too.
There ain't nothing better than heroin. I just want to let that, I want to let that be known right now. It is not the same. It's so different. But it does release the same chemicals, obviously. And it is a great feeling being on stage, especially when things are going well. Lonely place when it's going bad.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's a new day every day with comedy.
Recreational. You get to recreate.
Yeah. Right. So what are your words of wisdom, words of advice? Anybody trying to get in shape, anybody trying to shape up their life, what do you got to tell them, Derek?
Anybody trying to get their life back together, you know, whether it's through, you know, drugs or a depression, or you lost somebody, you know, because I've dealt with all that before recovery, and even in recovery. Like, my brother just passed in August from heroin.
Oh, really? So you guys used to do it together?
We did do drugs together, and I'm very sad that I'll never get to, you know, speak to him here. You know, I don't know what awaits on the other side, or if there's anything. I have no idea. But I cherish the time I got to spend with him, and you know, I'm also very lucky myself that the last time I overdosed, that I did not pass away, because it was just the luck of the draw. You know, they had to give me 2 shots in Narcan. Second one might have not worked, but it did. You know, and I just want to let everybody know that even as horrible as you feel about yourself and the shame that may have come with your addiction or whatever it is that you've done, you deserve to live a good life. A lot of people feel like they don't deserve it. I used to feel like I didn't deserve it. You deserve that life, and if you make that choice that you want a better life, you'll find your people, and then just stay with your people, and things will be great. Life still is very tough sometimes. It's hard enough as it is without heroin and incarceration and bad relationships and all that stuff, but you could do it. If I can do it, you know, anybody can. Seriously, I know that sounds cliche, but
you really mean that? You feel that way?
I mean it. We all deserve happiness. Every single one of us.
Cool. Yeah. All right, man. Derek Drescher. Guys, thank you so much. Derek, why don't you plug your Instagram and shows really quick?
You can follow me at Derek Drescher, DEREK, DRESCHER, and you can listen to On the Gate podcast.
Yes.
It's on YouTube. We're going to put it on all platforms soon. Follow that at On the Gate podcast. Follow 23andOne Comedy, so you can get the info on when the next show is. That's 23and1 Comedy. And thank you so much for having me.
Derek, thank you so much, guys. Peace.